Welcome to the Double Barrel Podcast. My name is Justin. This is my co-host, Chris.
And on this podcast, we discuss everything guns and alcohol. But always remember, guns and alcohol do not mix, and we do not support that. Always remember the 4 golden rules of shooting. Justin, what are they?
The 4 golden rules, remember, are never point the gun at anything you're not willing to destroy. Always treat every firearm as if it is loaded. Keep your finger off the trigger until you are ready to shoot, and keep the barrel pointed in a safe direction at all times.
Alrighty, now that we've got that out of the way, Justin, we have got a treat for everybody here today. And it looks like this one's had a couple modifications done to it, but nonetheless, what are we looking at here?
We're looking at a Ruger M77 Mark II.
All right.
This one was actually the last one made in 1999. We know that from the serial number on this one. And you're right, it has had some modifications. This is not the original stock on it, but the original stock was the boat paddle stock, okay. Which, if you saw, you used that one. It was a polymer stock that basically had a knife blade on the end.
Skeletonized, yep.
It was super thin, and so when you shot this thing, it just dug into your shoulder. So we've kind of modified it a little bit to
what stock
more
did we
of our
put
liking.
On this one? I don't remember.
This is a Boyd's @1 thumb hole.
Okay, that's right. Okay, we did do that.
Yeah. Huge shout out to Boyd's. They have amazing stocks. They do a wonderful job. I love this stock now that it's on there.
And just so everybody knows, they don't pay us to do this. We're just
we have no sponsors.
We buy them.
Yet.
Yes.
But no sponsor on this one. Again, great product. Love it. So big shout out to Boyd's for that.
At the end of the day, though, it's your decision. Whatever you want to do and whatever you feel like fits you best, that's all that counts. At the end of the day, shooting is all about what is most comfortable to you and what you're doing with the weapon.
I'll agree a little bit on that. I will say there are some things techniques and things that it's not just about how comfortable it is. There are some things that you can do wrong, even though there's a more comfortable way to do it.
We'll talk about that later.
We'll get into that later. But this stock, yeah, definitely anyone who's got one of the boat paddle stocks, I recommend looking into this. Or if you've got a different gun that you have a stock on that you're not really happy with, check out Boyd's. They've actually got some really good stocks on there for a lot of different models.
Priced, actually.
Decently priced, and they've got something for just about everything. So yeah, go check those out. But let's dive into this gun particularly here, minus the modifications. What's your question?
All right, so if we're talking versatility here, I'm staring at what kind of looks like a Mauser action here.
It is a modified Mauser.
Modified Mauser.
It is a modified Mauser action.
Go into that, would you?
So, Ruger, when they originally made the M77, the original M77 in 1968, they took the Mauser action. They were using essentially a copy of the Mauser action. When it came to 1991, when they started the Mark II, they actually changed some things on the Mauser action to what they thought were better. What they thought were better.
Okay.
We'll dig into that. But let's jump right into the versatility of this gun. This is a 270 Winchester rifle.
The killer of the 280 Remington. Okay.
The killer of the 280 Remington. And right now, I think this one's actually starting to get killed by the 6.5 Creedmoor. We've had a couple conversations. We'll dig into that one when we do our head-to-head battle on our 6.5 Creedmoors. I will agree with you on that, though, 100%. We'll talk about that more in depth later, though. Well, yeah, the 6.5 Creedmoor is a 2.264 caliber gun. It has almost the same trajectory. It has almost the same impact velocity, impact force that the 270 has. And it's a smaller round, so it's
so let's talk
the
about
270's on its
here.
way out.
What can this gun take? So we live in North America versus the big game hunting that you and I do.
So this is a medium game rifle.
Okay. So what does medium game mean?
So this is small elk, deer, and smaller.
Okay.
Anything above, North American elk. You're not going to want to use this. You're not going to take this out for a moose. You're not going to take it after a bear. You're not going to take it after mountain lions. That's not what this is for. So
it's a deer gun is what you're saying, man.
It's a deer and elk gun.
Okay.
I know you disagree with me on the elk part, but
Here's the thing. On the 270, I don't necessarily disagree with you on the elk. It's just I feel like the limitations of the shots that you can take at distances with this on an elk, that's where the 270 gets limited. My personal opinion on this rifle, though, anything 300 and under, absolutely, I think this gun could easily take an elk with a heavy grain bullet. I will not ever disagree with that.
Well, see, and that's the thing. The 270 Winchester goes up to about 150 grain. I think you can get 165 grain rounds.
Very
for
few
it.
rifles, though, in this caliber are even going to be willing to accept that and play nice with that cartridge, though.
Yeah, the 165 grain round is not really going to play well with most of the 270 caliber rifles. Never tried it in this one because I've never been able to find it. But this one will take up to the 150.
Okay.
And the 150 grain round will actually do really well on an elk up to about 600 yards.
Okay. Again, I think that's where you and I would agree to disagree, but that's okay because this is our opinions.
It is our opinion on it, but out to 600 yards, depending on your shot placement, this will take an elk. It
generates enough.
It generates enough energy that at 600 yards, it will drop an elk.
Okay.
If your shot is placed right. Okay. And this is where you and I disagree a lot on our shot and on our rifles is I'm all about, well, the energy and the shockwave is less important than shot placement, and you're more of the shockwave and energy is more important than shot placement.
We'll disagree on that because you and I right now are training on 8-inch gongs for hunting season this year, and kill zone on a deer or elk is 10-inch.
You're right.
We're both very, very much with shot placement as well.
We're very much with shot placement, but you also like to rely a little bit more on that energy than I do.
I agree with that, and I think that comes down to personal preference between the two of us, and that's
absolutely
totally fine.
That is absolutely comes down to personal preference between the two of us, which is why I haven't tried to talk you out of shooting the rifle that you're planning on taking hunting with us this year.
But I'm going to be taking our next episode.
I might take this one.
That one.
You know, I'm debating between taking this one or taking my 6.5 Creedmoor.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, let's talk about something. We were out shooting this today. You had some hand loads that we put down. I think we put about 20 rounds down. What were the grain on those, and what was that bullet?
So that was 150 grain Hornady ELDX round.
Shot beautifully. I mean, we rang steel with it just fine. Had to make a couple modifications on the scope after we went coyote hunting last time.
That's sighting, and that has nothing to do with the rifle itself.
No, but I felt like it performed beautifully.
It did perform beautifully, but we're starting to get into the shootability and reliability of this gun. Let's finish off the versatility.
Okay.
As far as versatility goes, as much as I hate to say it, it only gets about a 3.5 for me. Okay. Just because there are guns out there, especially in rifles, that can do a lot more than this one can. This one, again, is very limited to medium to small game. You're not anything else. You're not gonna do well with it. You can't even really take this one varmint hunting because that 270
blow them apart.
Yeah, that 270 caliber round coming out of that 30-06 shell.
Yeah, it's just devastating.
It blows them up.
So I have a question for you. What is the lowest grain weight
110
in factory ammo that you can find for this? Is it 110?
110 is the lowest factory ammo that I've found for it. You can get
90s probably?
90s.
Okay, but those are hand loads at that point.
Those are hand loads at that point. And honestly, finding 270 caliber ammo in factory loads is getting harder and harder. Yeah, so my versatility score on this one is going to be about a 3.5, just because this is a medium to small game rifle. You can't do varmint with it, and you can't do big game with it. And I know some people think deer is big game. It's really not. It's medium game as far as what most manufacturers will deem their rifles can do is medium game is deer.
I agree with you on that.
But this one scores really low because your grain weight goes from 90 to 150 and your range is about 600 max. So, and there are other rifles out there that can do a lot more than what this one can.
Personally, on this one, and I have a lot of love for the older calibers that are now starting to, unfortunately, fade, just due to technology and just due to what we have available. I'm going to have to agree with you, Justin. I'm going to have to go 3.5. Very same reasons for you, because in comparison, one of my favorite calibers now is a dead caliber. It's a 280 Remington, and again, you're right. There are so many other more calibers out there now that are doing this exact same thing with less, or maybe just a smidge more, and they're performing over a wider range of options.
Yeah, they can do more things than this one.
Mm-hmm. Nevertheless, though, solid deer rifle.
Oh, absolutely solid deer rifle. Would definitely take this one deer hunting with me, because it'll do the job, no problem.
So, Justin, let's get into our next category, which is reliability. Now, personally, this one's from your personal collection, correct?
This one is from my collection. We did one from your collection last time. This one was my turn.
So here's my thing, though. I'm just going to say, from the time that I've spent behind the trigger on this weapon, I'm a little let down, because with it being a Mauser action footprint, when we're getting into reliability for a bolt action weapon that has a Mauser footprint action, one of the most iconic, if not the most iconic and reliable actions out there, I've had some interesting feed issues with this gun.
As have I. And honestly, the Mauser style action on here, I feel like Ruger tried to basically reinvent the wheel with it. And I've had some feed issues where, as I'm trying to slide the bolt forward, it catches. It doesn't go smoothly like that. And I try to actually, put the bolt down, it catches, and I kind of got to slam it down. So, as far as reliability, I've never had it jam. I've never had it not eject the round. I've never had a problem with the magazine or with it firing. My only reliability issue is this action right here. You get it back, but then if you push forward on it at even a slight angle, you can see right there
it's pinching.
It's pinching and locked up on me.
So here's my take on that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
See how wobbly that is?
Yeah, it's got a lot of play in there.
It's got a lot of play in there, and Ruger, I feel like, could have done a lot better job with this than they did. And so for me, it kind of, if you're trying to take multiple shots on the deer, you take the first one and it bounds off. You want to get that second one done real quick. You go to slam in the next one, well, now that deer's gone.
Well, I'm going to agree with you. I actually had a jam today. I had a misfeed, so when I pulled back to eject. Now, I'm going to give the gun props on the ejection, because the claw right here, that Mauser style claw, that thing, it's a grip it and rip it. That thing just will eject that shell clear out there. So,
I think you had a couple that flew about 15 or 20 feet today.
I think I pegged you with one of them, and you're clear over back here on me. Anyway, though, back to what I was saying. The best word I can describe when using this bolt, it's goopy. That's the word I've got to use, is it's goopy. Now, that's goopy.
That's goopy.
Yes, that's goopy, yeah. But here's where my misfeed came in, is it can hold 4 rounds, and it's a hinged 4-plate design. I had the first one cycled, took the shot, ejected the round. It nosedived on the second round, and I had to actually press and pop the round up to get it to cycle feed. So I agree with you that Ruger could have milled it a little bit or worked the bolt a little better, because it's not a bad design, but the way it is right now, follow-up shots become extremely difficult, and if we're talking reliability, it struggles. Now, I've never had a failure to fire.
Yeah, neither have I. I've never had a failure to fire. I have had that kind of catch a little bit as you're trying to reload the next round. I found you just kind of have to slam it back again, and then...
I think you're right, because when I don't want to say I was manhandling it, but I got kind of aggressive with the bolter today.
You did get aggressive with it.
And it seemed to kind of respond to me a little bit more, because I was just kind of like, okay, your Mauser-style action... You're based off a World War II gun that is probably the most iconic bolt-action rifle in the history of the world.
Within the top 5.
Within the top 5. So let me try something a little different here. Let's see if I get a little bit more aggressive with you, if you're going to perform a little better. And I kind of felt like it actually responded to me a little bit more, being more aggressive with it and throwing it and slamming than it was when, kind of like on like my Remington 700 or the X-Bolt. It's just kind of like, okay, pop, slide, back, forward, down.
You're right, but as far as reliability, let's give it our scores now. This thing is gonna get a 4 from me.
A 4, okay, that's higher than I expected. I'm not gonna lie.
It's higher than you expected because, yes, we have had a couple of feed issues, and I hate the way this Mauser action functions.
Modified Mauser action. Let's make sure we clarify that.
The modified Mauser action, I hate the way it functions. However, it does function.
It does.
It hasn't failed, and I've had this gun for over 10 years now.
Mm-hmm.
I've taken it out in the snow. I've taken it out in the dirt. I wouldn't be surprised if it's had water down the barrel at some point.
Like all hunting rifles?
Well, like all hunting rifles, but this one's been in the field several times with us, mm-hmm. and with me. I've got a lot of rounds down this one, mm-hmm. and the bolt's never failed. Mm-hmm. I've had to fight it, but it's never failed, so it's reliable. It works every time. But it's a struggle. So that's where
I'm going to be a little more generous than I probably feel like I should with it. It's getting a 3 from me, and here's why. The bolt, when you're using this for what it was designed and built for, which is a hunting rifle, it needs to cycle, and it can't be when I've got buck fever going on and I shoot. I've got to take a follow-up shot. The last thing you want to think about is my next round going to chamber, or am I going to have to fight my next round? Like you said, that's why it's getting the 3 for me. But at the end of the day, it's a solid gun. It's built well. We get good groupings out of it. It's a decently reliable gun.
You're right. It is, and that's why it loses points for me as well, is because you have to fight this
mm-hmm.
action. And that brings us. You kind of brought us into shootability a little bit there with mm-hmm. talking about the groupings on this gun.
Mm-hmm.
That is one thing that I can't fault this one as far as its groupings.
We're at MOA. We're at an inch.
We're at an inch, but I've actually taken this gun out to 1,500 yards and hit the target. Granted, it took me 4 or 5 shots to hit the target. For a gun that's really only good to about 600 yards, taking 1,000 yards past that and still hit a nice small pie plate sized target.
That's an accurate gun. I won't doubt you there. Here's a question though. You're teaching somebody to shoot, like we talked about in our previous episode. Is this a gun you would train somebody on? Now, when I say that, it's their first, second, third time out. I'm not going past third time out.
And I agree with as we're thinking about that. Would you take a new rookie shooter and show them how to shoot a rifle with this one? I wouldn't. Just because this gun, with the way that action is, it's going to frustrate people, especially a new shooter. The 270 caliber round, like I said before, is a 270 bullet on a 30-06 shell casing. Mm-hmm. The gun kick has quite a bit of kick to it for what it is, and it's not really great to teach someone on.
Okay. Now, my next question though for you, and I'm going to answer these as well. If you were to take this gun hunting and you had somebody who had never been hunting before but was a, let's say, amateur, intermediate, maybe like a 4 out of 10 level, is this a rifle that you would feel comfortable with someone taking out into the field? Mule deer hunting. Let me clarify that. Mule deer hunting.
Yeah, this is for mule deer, for someone who's, kind of mid-range shooter, okay. Which, yeah, anybody from our audience would be able to take this out, shoot with it, and actually get a deer with this one. So yeah, it would be very shootable for an average shooter.
How much do you think this thing weighs now with the new stock on it?
With the new stock on it, I think this one actually comes in at 11 pounds.
All right, which is interesting to me because it doesn't feel like 11 pounds with a thumb hole. I actually feel like it's very wieldable and very, very doable at 100 yards if you had to take a standing shot.
Oh, yeah, and that's one thing that the gun itself, with the modified stock that we put on there from Boyd's, that thumb hole stock gives you a hell of a lot of stability. It's far more balanced than it used to be. And then as far more balanced than most of our rifles, which I have all the weight right here, that thumb hole stock kind of really improves that, I think. I
think that weight's like right here now.
Like
where it needs to be.
More where it needs to be. And so another shout out to Boyd's amazing job on the stock.
What's your score?
My score on this one would actually be, again, about a 4.5.
Okay, so we're going 4.5. Okay.
I'm going 4.5. And I go 4.5 because it is a very shootable gun, and with the modifications that we've made, very accurate gun as well, and it's an easy gun to carry.
Now, real quick before I give my score, this is important. If it had the original stock on it, because this is important, I feel like, to our viewers, because if they go find this gun and buy it and it has that original stock, what's the score though?
If it has the original boat paddle stock on it, I'm actually going to give it a 2.5.
2.5, okay, because to me that's a huge thing, because we have modified this gun to make it more shootable, and if someone's like, hey, they're saying it's a good gun, I'm just going to go buy it with the original stock, they're going to be in for a totally different animal, and that's why I wanted to make sure that they understand
that. And that's a fair question to ask me. With the original boat paddle stock, with no modifications, this thing is, it loses a lot. It goes down to about a 2.5, because that boat paddle stock
just
digs.
A blade.
It basically is a knife blade that digs in your shoulder. After 4 shots, I don't want to shoot this anymore.
Gotcha. All right. My score is going to surprise you with the modified stock. I give it a 5.
That is a little bit surprising. I thought you were actually going to go lower than what I had given it, not higher.
Here's why. I would not have a rookie their first time out shooting this. I would not have a rookie probably their second time shooting it. Third time, though, if someone wants to step up into the large, long-action calibers, yes, this is going to be a great gun to teach them on. Now, in saying that, the gun, I feel like, has very manageable recoil. Very manageable with the new stock. Now, to answer the question I asked you, if it had the original stock, what would I give it? I'd give it a 2. Because I've shot a few rounds out of that blade stock. Here's the thing, Justin. You and I are not small guys by any means. No. I've actually got a bigger torso and broader shoulders than you do. And I can absorb a little bit more recoil than you. That boat tail stock it hurts, because the way it transfers that kinetic energy is just horrible. Now, with this one, though, having that extra heft, I'm a big fan of thumbhole stocks. I think I actually talked you into this, and you were like, I don't want a thumbhole.
You did talk me into this one. I didn't want a thumbhole originally, but you convinced me to get the thumbhole on this one, and I'm actually really glad you did. And this is not the only thumbhole stock they had available for this. I went with the At one because I wanted the adjustable cheek rest, and I wanted the adjustable
they've been great. To finish out, though, I would actually be okay sticking a adolescent that I'm teaching on the end of this gun, because, again, now with the modified stock, the recoil, I feel like you could have a 12-year-old, a 13-year-old that you're teaching how to shoot and to go hunting in the field. The gun's a little too heavy for them, I'm not going to lie. At the same time, though, it's a very doable one to learn on. If I was to give this to someone in the field, again, same as you, intermediate shooter. So, for the modifications we've made, I give it a 5 on shootability. Without the modifications, it gets a 2.
I agree. I agree an adolescent could shoot it from a bench with the modifications. I would not, just because like we've said, it is a heavy gun. And if they're not standing just right, we haven't been kind of learned the proper stances yet, it'll still put them on their butt, because it is, again, you've got a 30-06 case.
Right.
So that's a lot of powder that goes behind this round. So it can still knock them on their butt. But, so yeah, from a bench, I guess an adolescent would be all right. I wouldn't do prone, because prone takes a little bit more learning and skill to do.
I got you. All right, let's get into the most important one, or the second most important thing that I think all of us think about when buying a firearm.
Well, when buying anything, really. Cost, yeah. This one, we've looked, and this gun is the Ruger M77 Mark II is no longer in production.
I think you said that they now call it the 77 series.
So they have the 77 series, which comes in, the 7722, 7744, a couple other calibers. So you can get a 77 series rifle, but the Mark II, the last year that I can find serial numbers for it is 2013.
And what is it now? It's just they dumped it and the Hawkeye basically took over?
I'm not sure which rifle took over from Ruger. I haven't dug too much into the research on Ruger, just because I've been a little hesitant to continue with buying more Rugers. And we'll get into that later as to why I've been hesitant.
That's okay.
When we review another rifle in my collection, I'll explain why this isn't my first choice. But this one is the last one made in 1999. We know from the serial number that it was the last one manufactured in 1999.
Okay. So here's my next question for you. I know this was a gift, right?
Yeah, this was a gift from my father for Christmas one year. Obviously, I was above the legal age to receive the rifle, but my dad bought it for me for Christmas.
Okay, here's a question for you, because we ask this on all of our episodes. This gun's no longer in production, but they're everywhere on Gunbroker right now, and I've done some research. I know what they're going for, but before I tell you and I tell our viewers what they're going for, if you were to rebuy this gun right now with the original stock, what would you pay for it?
With the original stock, I would probably be willing to pay about $750.
$750.
$750 for this one, because with that original stock, it's a much lighter gun. It just, the way that the recoil on that stock comes through it you got to replace the stock. And I also know what they're going for on Gunbroker. I did a little looking myself, so I would pay $750 maybe, because you're going to have to drop another
$250
$250 to get a stock for it to actually make it a comfortable shot. Now I'm going to ask you the same question. What's the max you would pay for it with the original boat paddle stock? But
Go ahead.
There are other Ruger M77 Mark IIs in the 270 caliber that don't have that boat paddle stock.
Correct.
And we'll talk about that one in just a minute, but
here's my take on this.
If it was the boat paddle, what'd you pay?
Here's where it becomes an issue for me. When I'm buying a rifle like this one, this is going to be a utility rifle. It is going to be used in the field. It's going to be used for hunting. I'm not using it for long range. I'm not using it for target shooting. All right? $650 is the maximum I would pay for it with that original boat tail, because I'm going to have to drop some money and some time and energy into making it field worthy. And unfortunately, that is unacceptable to me. A gun that is priced extremely high. Right there, that is low mid-tier craftsmanship, in my opinion.
I will agree with that. The bolt right there does make this feel
cheap.
Low to mid-tier craftsmanship.
Mm-hmm. Which is sad because the gun actually has some very beautiful steel. The gun looks gorgeous. Like, they did good craftsmanship. The bolt, unfortunately, ruins it.
I agree. The bolt ruins the whole thing. However, we've looked, and we both know that these are going for anywhere from $800 to $1,300 right now. And that's with the boat tail stock. We wouldn't pay that much for it. You can make your own choice on that. Mm-hmm. But if you find one without the boat tail stock, with actually the wood stock or the synthetic stock that's not the boat paddle,
I'd probably go around 8 to 9.
Without the boat paddle stock on there, I'd probably be $9,000 to $1,000.
Okay, so we're pretty comparable because at the end of the day, we're looking at it as an investment of I have to put extra time and effort into. If I didn't have to put the extra time and effort into it, then yes, I'm going to be willing to pay a little bit more for the gun.
Yeah, and like you said, this bolt likes it aggressive, and if you're willing to be aggressive with it, which out in field, you're going to be aggressive with it whether you want to be or not, because you're going to have that adrenaline flowing.
Hand me that bolt real quick, actually, please, while you're finishing your sentence.
But it's a reliable bolt. We know that. It's just a trick to use, which we don't like. So I think it is still worth, at the low end of what people are paying for it, that we can find.
Okay.
But I wouldn't say it's worth the high end of what people are paying.
Let's get into it. What's your score on cost? As it sits right now with the research we've done.
As it sits right now with the research we've done, I got to give it a 3 on cost.
Okay.
And that's just because while it isn't an unreasonable amount of money, in that price range of the $800 to $1,300 range,
there's so many more. That's such a competitive market.
There are a lot of other guns that are going to do the same thing or more than what this will do.
With no modifications.
And they have an action that's not going to irritate you. So I got to give it a 3 on that cost category, because I don't feel like it's worthy of that category.
I give it a 2. Same reasons. That 800 to 1,300. There's so many more options out there. There's so many better options out there. In the 6 to 800 category, I'd give it more like a 4.5, a 4. But as it stands right now, it's getting a 2 from me on cost.
Yeah, if it were to the $600 to $800 range, I would definitely give it a 4.5.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the $600 to $800 range, there's not as many rifles in that market, and you're going to see kind of the same things in that market. Bolts that aren't quite as smooth and are as easy to use. And so, yeah, it just does not get as high as I think it could because of it.
So, one thing, though, before we tell everybody the overall score, because this part of the gun, even though it's not a per se part of the gun, really kind of has impressed me quite a bit. This scope that you put on here.
Oh, my Monstrum 6 to 24 by 50. Yeah, that scope has actually done phenomenally well on this rifle platform.
How much you pay for that?
That was a $250 scope.
And it was $250 well spent, actually. I'm not going to lie, everybody. I literally called bull crap on him. I'm like, hold on. You only, wait, what? Huh? What?
He did. He got so mad at me for when I told him how much I spent on this scope. Because
you have to buy good glass.
He told me, you need to take that back and you need to go buy Vortex or a Leopold. You can't buy a Monstrum at $250. You have to go spend $400 or $500 on a Vortex or a Leopold or so on and so forth. But this glass is actually, it holds reticle really, really well, and it has performed phenomenally on this rifle for me. So, yeah, I wouldn't trade the glass for anything. But let's get into our overall score and our overall thoughts on this rifle.
All right, Justin, you got a 15 out of 20. From my perspective, that's pretty close to where I actually thought you were going to score this gun.
Yeah, it gets a 15 out of 20 overall because, again, overall, it does exactly what it was originally intended to do, which is be a medium to small game rifle. Mm-hmm. It does work in the field, minus the boat paddle stock, which we've harped on so much in this episode. This is a really reliable, really well-made rifle. Mm-hmm. You gave it a 13.5, which is actually a lot lower than I thought you were going to give it. Because every time we talk about this gun, you tell me how good it is.
Well,
and you get mad at me for mocking it and saying I don't really like it that much.
So here's the thing. My personal opinion of this gun is it is a good gun. Here's the thing, though. In the black and white, the grand scheme of things of what this gun really is, it's a hunting rifle. It's a field rifle, like I said. This cannot fail me in the field. And I can honestly say, if you handed me this gun and I went deer hunting with it tomorrow, I put 4 rounds in here and there is a trophy buck or any buck sitting at 100 yards from me, my confidence that this gun will not fail me is about a 4 out of 10, and that's just too low for me. That's why it scored lower than what it probably should. That's the reality of it.
And I agree with you. If you're walking around, you want to do the safe thing. You don't want to have a round in the chamber as you're hiking around. You see that trophy buck off in the woods, and you got to rack around real fast. And you get a little excited, and you push
it.
Instead of pushing straight, you push it off to the side just a hair, and you get caught again. You've now lost your trophy buck. So I totally get why you knock it. But, it doesn't fail. It just fights. It fights back. It's got personality.
It's got personality. I like that.
The gun has personality.
How many guns do we have that have personality?
How many guns do you have that will argue with you on whether or not they should actually shoot around?
Oh, good Lord. We'll talk about that. I know which one you're thinking of, and we'll get into that one at a later date.
We will get into that one
Don't
later.
give me a headache right now with that one.
This one, overall, I love the gun. I like the way it functions. I just wish it did it a little bit better.
But at the end of the day, though, it gets a passing score. It's a good gun. It's a reliable gun. It does its job, and it does its job very well. If I had to recommend this rifle to somebody, is it going to be in the top 5 recommendations? No. Top 10? No. Top 15? Yes.
Yeah, well, okay, let's narrow that down just a little bit more. Mm-hmm. Your cousin comes to you tomorrow, tells you he wants to buy a 270 Winchester rifle.
Okay.
Would you recommend this in one of your top 10 for 270?
For the price that they're asking for it right now? No.
Yeah.
I tell them to go buy an X-Bolt.
I can't argue with it.
At that price range, what they're asking for this gun? Absolutely. My honest opinion.
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. I would recommend
your Savage 110 at $750 in a 270. I would put over this.
What's funny is when I got this gift from my dad, the Savage 110 in the 270 was only $350.
It's amazing what has happened.
It is amazing what has happened. But yeah, I take the Savage 110 over this.
But
just about any day.
It's a great gun, and it's a great one to have in the collection and in the arsenal.
Great gun to have in the collection, great gun to have in the arsenal. It does what I want it to do when I want it to do it.
I got you.
So,
well, I think that wraps us up for us here, folks. So stick around. We're going to go put this guy away. We're going to reset up and make sure the scene is safe for the... Ooh, we're getting into some alcohol. Oh, and by the way, there's a surprise twist coming up. Stay tuned.
I don't know if it's a twist. Just slightly different than... what we would normally do. I think it's just more of a surprise to each other than a twist.
I'm scared. Stick around. We'll see you later.
He should be.
Second half of Double Barrel Podcast. My name's Chris. This is my co-host Justin. Now that the guns are put away and everything is safe, we can get into the alcohol portion of this. Just remember, guns and alcohol don't mix. Justin.
That's right. Safety's high on our priority list. Never mix your guns and your alcohol. Bad juju. Here's how this part's going to work. We're going to reveal our two alcohols to each other. Neither one of us knows what the other's picked.
Scary.
We're going to rate these on taste and aroma is one category. We got our drinkability as our second category. Cost is our third, and then kind of an overall feel of the drink and what we feel like it is worth and how it does.
All right.
So let's dive right into this. What have we got?
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I knew it.
You did know it. That is a surprise.
The Kaniche?
The Kaniche. I was going to call it Kaniche.
So I actually had to Google how to actually pronounce it. So Siri for the win on that one.
Yeah, Siri comes and saves your life a lot, I feel sometimes.
Yeah, she does.
Okay. But yeah, that is a surprise. I don't think I expected the Kaniche.
You didn't expect the rum.
I did not expect the rum. But, it's a brown rum, so I'm not super surprised. We've talked about this last time, you don't do the clears. And this time, we're going to use this.
We kind of sailed a little bit last time.
We sailed a little bit last time, and
a little might be an understatement.
Heavy pour. I have mentioned this numerous times.
You know what? Pour. I pulled these out just to mess with you, but we actually need them now because you got the gold label.
I do have the gold label, and these are actually great for not just bourbons; they're great for your whiskeys as well. I was trying to throw you off of what I picked by saying that this was for yours, not for mine.
Yeah. So we were messing with each other. Okay.
We were messing with each other. But you know what? It's 5 o'clock. Let's dig into the good stuff.
Ooh, Jimmy Buffett's favorite hour. I like it.
Oh, wonderful.
All right. The only problem is, I can't set sail because this isn't Captain Morgan.
But
we're still, you know what? It's rum. Where's the rum going?
Exactly.
It's right here in my hand.
It's still rum. So let's dive into this one.
All righty. So
tell us a little bit about the Kaniche.
Story behind this is my wife and I were actually in Vegas, stopped off at Total Wine and Beverage, and I was looking for a rum that wasn't Captain Morgan. And I'm a huge Captain Morgan fan, always have been, probably always will be. But I wanted to
expand
my horizon. So I was talking with one of the guys there, and he said the Kaniche rum was the way to go. Now, here's where this gets interesting to me. So this is a double wood rum. So it's cast, and then it's recast and finished in. Can you guess what it's finished in?
I'm going to guess it's finished in a wine barrel.
Bourbon barrels.
In bourbon barrels. I see why you like it.
Exactly. Okay. It's from Panama. So this is actually an imported.
Okay. Well, with a name like Kaniche, I would have thought it came from
Japan or something like that.
Japan or China or one of the other East Asian countries. But.
Oh, I apologize. I need to back up here. It's finished in brandy cask.
Brandy. Ha! So I was half right.
Nope. Both. Listen to this. Rum that's been aged in, let's say bourbon.
That says bourbon cask.
And finished in old brandy cask.
So we were both right.
So we got a rum that starts its life off in a bourbon cast, actually, and then it's finished in a brandy cast. All right. This is going to be good. I've had this one, and this is phenomenal. Like, game changer, in my opinion, for rum.
Okay, last time you told me that bourbon you gave me last time was phenomenal, and I disagreed heavily with you on that one. So,
but that was a blind taste. We had never had it before.
I've never had this before, so this is a blind taste for me.
Well, it's not blind; it's initial. It's initial.
It blind initial, same thing. In this case,
but you're going to be happier. It is only 40%.
40% at what proof? Or do we even know the proof on this?
It's rum, so I'm guessing that they don't have a proof on it because most rums don't have a proof.
I've actually seen a lot of rums with proofs on them. I think it depends on what rum you're getting.
Okay.
Because, Malibu rum, you see proof on Malibu rum.
I don't know why. It's Malibu rum.
Yeah. Okay, so how much are we starting off with here?
Well, last time, because these glasses are bigger than the other set I have, I actually don't think we should use these. So last time we had 4 ounces in these. I think we should use the tumbler. I think we should do 2 ounces.
Now, because we're only doing 2 ounces, tell me why you would choose the tumbler over the small, tall glass.
Because this rum is one that you actually want to nose. Like a bourbon or a whiskey.
Okay.
And I don't feel like we're going to get a good nosing out of one of these.
Okay,
that's why
fair.
I'm kind of going with the more open.
The more open top bottle. Yeah, let's give that a swing. That's actually got a very nice smell to it that I'm getting off here. Get a little bit of honey, get a little bit of spice.
This rum was actually a huge game changer for me in the way of rum, like I said previously. I was very much blown away at this rum.
Yeah. Well, just based on the smell, I actually have higher hopes for this
than you originally thought.
Especially with the way that the last initial tasting went for me.
Okay, I get that cane sugar in there. I'm getting some sugar.
Oh yeah, I get a very heavy cane sugar.
But I'm getting the oak. I'm getting the bourbon barrel there. There's a little bit of oak that's coming through for me.
A little bit of oak coming through. I'm actually smelling that brandy barrel.
The dried fruits almost in there. Type
the
deal
dried
with the
fruit,
spice.
the spice, but I'm also getting those fruity notes from the brandy barrel because brandy is just wine that's had most of the water boiled out of it. Mm-hmm. We'll talk more about why that is later when we actually get into a brandy. But
okay, I've actually never tried this rum neat, but holy crap, that is a phenomenal rum to drink. Like that, almost doesn't even drink like a rum.
No, I feel like this one actually drink more like that, more like a bourbon.
But it's not.
At least initially for me, it's more of that bourbon. I get some of that honey and that oak taste coming through on the front, but I get a kind of a heavy burn right there at the front like I do with the bourbons.
See, and I don't get that, but I think that's because my palate's more used to bourbon. But let's go in for the second here after the palatizing hit. Wow, okay. First off, creamy.
Very creamy, very smooth.
Dried fruit.
Yep, get the dried fruit.
And I get that cane sugar. Very, very nice drink.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
And, I don't know how to describe it. It's not like a smoky feeling at the end, but it's kind of a smoky feeling at the end.
It's the oak. You're getting that double cast.
I'm getting that double cast coming through at the end. It just kind of lingers there.
Yeah, see, I got it right there. They just kind of lingered back, and that's definitely the double cast.
One thing that I like about this one, and that has pleasantly surprised me versus the other things you've had me try, this one smooths really, really, really well on that second shot or second hit. Almost all the burn was gone.
See, and I just hit my third, and I actually discovered another flavor there. So I got some dried fruit spices in there, but very okay. I'm just gonna say this. One of the hardest things on alcohol that you can nose, whether it be a bourbon, a brandy, a whiskey, a scotch, is what you get on the nose hardly ever transfers to the palate. Everything that I nosed transferred to the palate. That's rare.
I agree. Everything I nosed transferred to the palate as well.
Great.
I got one more kind of surprise hit there that I don't know why it came through and why I tasted it, but it was there. And that was actually right at the beginning of that third hit was a hint of vanilla, and then it went right into those dried fruits that we get off the brandy cask, and it was just really good because it gave those dried fruits kind of a cream.
The viscous cream, yeah.
Feel. But more like, raspberries and cream, strawberries and cream, that, those tastes.
The feel, yeah.
The taste and feel of that, I kind of got that right there at the beginning. and then it gets kind of smoothed out back into what we got on that second here, where we got the oak, but the burn is essentially gone. I mean, compared to the last time you had me try something, and I
fell on your butt.
I fell over.
See, that was hilarious to me, though, is when I tried the vodka, I about ended up on the floor on the initial sip. First time you tried that, Elijah Craig, you almost ended up
I
on
almost
the floor.
ended up on the floor. So,
taste. Let's dude, I'm curious, man. Justin, give me your score on the taste, man.
My score on the taste on this one is going to get a 4. It's going to get a 4 out of 5. It is a very solid, good taste. This one, like I like with my brown liquors, has a lot of flavors that come through, not only on the first hit, but they remain through the rest of it. 'Cause we've talked about this last time. I like my liquors kind of
progressive,
consistent from drink to drink to drink. Mm-hmm. The only thing I like to go away is that burn to kind of get less and less and less.
And I definitely felt like we got away from that burn. I got a little bit of the burn on the initial. Nothing that I can't handle or I'm not used to, but it went away on that second one. The only thing that I really picked up on that third sip, on the back end, that double oak, that double cast, that oaky, it was definitely more present.
It's definitely more present, and I feel it, even as we're here talking, I still feel it there at the back end, and it just kind of lingers, and I like that. Mm-hmm. So what are you going to give it on our taste and aroma? What do you feel it gets?
I'm going to give it a 5, and here's why. I've never had a rum like it in my life, and it's just total game changer for rum. I mix rums. I don't drink rums neat. I could drink that neat.
Oh, yeah.
And I've never drank it neat.
Most rums, I feel like, are a mixed drink. Mm-hmm. That one I feel like can be drank neat. I'm excited to see what this happens in a mixed drink. And so let's go get...
Yeah, let's go grab something.
And see how this does in a mixed drink.
We'll be back in 1 second. Hold tight.
Welcome back, everybody. We're still waiting on Chris in the back room here. There you are. All right, what do you got for us?
Okay, I found some hurricane mix, so let's go ahead and do this here. Hand me a 1 ounce over there, please. No, 1 ounce.
I know what you want, but it just goes back to that heavy-handed pour thing you do.
Yeah, that's why.
Let's stir it up in this and then split it between the two of us so we don't go flying tonight.
Why? You don't like to fly?
Not when I have to work in the morning.
Oh, that's right. What is today? Sunday?
Today is Sunday. We got to work in the morning.
That is true. All right.
Oh, hold on. You're supposed to do 4 ounces of that?
Yeah.
That was only 2.
No, that's right. That was only 2. All right.
You had me hand you a 1 ounce jigger.
Now we got 4 in there.
Now we got 4.
All right.
All right. Now it's the 1.5 of the Kaniche.
Kaniche, wow.
I still want to call it a Kaniche.
Well, maybe it is a niche.
It might be a niche rum because it's not one that I've heard of before. Captain Morgan, Malibu, those are rums I've heard of, but not the Kaniche. So maybe it is a niche rum.
Like I said, we found it in Vegas. I actually haven't been able to really find it since. I know it's out there, though, but I don't have a lot of... If anyone has any more information on this rum, please let me know. I'm very interested because this is such a good rum.
So far it has been a wonderful rum. Let's see how this continues here in our... Well, that's the wrong cup.
Just take that one.
I feel like you've still got a lot more than me, though.
There you go. You happy now? I thought you didn't want to get drunk tonight.
No. It's not about the getting drunk. It's making sure we each have enough to get a taste.
Okay, fine. Here, I'll make you happy.
That's... Yeah, see? Now we're really screwed.
Oh, man. We have fun on this show.
We do.
Oh, here's our
There we go. See,
right.
That's half and half.
All right. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Cheers. That's good with a pre-mixed hurricane.
That is pretty good with a pre-mixed hurricane.
Wow.
I feel like it could be better.
But it's a pre-mixed hurricane mix. So you can't knock it too much.
Oh, no, I'm not knocking it too much.
It's all supposed to be served over ice, too. We're drinking this warm.
We are drinking this warm. We don't have ice handy right now. But the pre-mixed hurricane mix, not terrible, but I feel like it could be much better than what it was.
But the rum definitely showed. Like, it definitely bled into what... Like, I tasted it still, but it was just a nice compliment. I mean, again, a great rum.
I did taste the rum in there as well, and I know you like to, in your mixed drinks, to have the rum, or the drink,
the alcohol
come through on the mix. This one, the rum itself actually blended really, really well with that.
Yep.
I feel like it could have been... We might have done a little bit better on the mixing. That was just kind of a light stirring. And the pre-mixed hurricane mix, while not terrible, not the best hurricane you can make. There are better recipes out there. I recommend finding one of those if you're going to do more than drink at home alone with one of these.
Gotcha.
As far as drinkability on this one, how we score that kind of goes into, would you drink this alone? Would you drink it at the bar? If it's one of the options at the bar that you see, cost notwithstanding, open bar, you're going to pick it.
Yes, absolutely, 100%. And here's the thing. Even if I just decide I want, like, a rum and punch, a hurricane, a Mai Tai, because I like to make tropical rum drinks. If it's, I'm going to sound a little greedy here, but if it's just me drinking or me and my wife drinking, I will probably overshoot Captain Morgan, and I'll grab this to make the drink. Absolutely.
So would I. I've had Captain Morgan in the past. I do like the fruity tropical drinks. I've never had a Mai Tai, but
I'll have to make you one.
We'll have to try one of those later on. But this is definitely one that I would, give me the Kaniche. Mm-hmm. This is one that I might actually ask you for over a vodka at one of our get-togethers.
Whoa!
Yeah,
folks.
I know this.
Wow!
This one actually, it does so well.
Wow!
I might actually have you make me a tropical drink with the rum over having you make me a screwdriver with the vodka.
Okay, just so everybody's aware.
Oh, we talked about this last time too.
Go watch our initial podcast episode. This guy is to vodka what I am to bourbon, and vice versa. You are.
I think I'm more into the vodka than you are into the bourbon, just because I've had a lot more of the vodkas and I really
agree.
like them.
So for you to,
that would beat out several vodkas for me.
But yet you only gave it a 4 on taste and aroma.
I gave it a 4 on taste and aroma.
Okay, so what are you doing it on this on the drinkability?
Drinkability. This is actually going to get a high 4.5.
Okay.
A high 4.5. And the reason it's going to get that high 4.5 is because it did mix really, really, really well. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't horrible to drink neat. It is one that, at a bar, oh, hey, they got a Kaniche. You know what? That makes some really good drinks. I'm going to get that instead of my normal screwdriver.
I'm going to give it a 4.5 too, and here's the only reason why I'm going to do a 4.5 on it. If you're not a huge rum person, and when you want a tropical drink, you want all of the alcohol and the liquor to be hidden from the drink, that's the only reason why it's getting knocked half a point. But again, it's splitting hairs at this point.
It's splitting hairs at this point, but for you personally,
Five.
I don't want to hear what you think others would like because you want that
5.
drink to hide it. 5.
I would say a 5 personally.
I'm the guy that likes the alcohol to be hidden, hence my love for the vodkas of the tasteless, odorless. So you give it a solid 5.
5. Oh yeah, it would be a 5.
Okay.
For me personally.
Well, that's what we want to hear. We want to hear your personal opinion on this.
Understand.
Full on 5. That's awesome.
All right, let's get into cost now, which is something that even I personally, I'm willing to spend the money on a bottle of alcohol. I still have to take cost in consideration. I paid $45 for this bottle.
$45.
Yes.
You know, correct me if I'm wrong, a really good Captain Morgan runs about 30, right?
I would have to fact check you on that one. I know. So I think my Captain Morgan Private Select is actually closer to 40, if I'm not mistaken. And that's a Captain Morgan Private Select, and I know that's in their upper tier. A basic bottle of Captain Morgan Spiced is like 20, 22-ish.
Okay, so
it's definitely a premium bottle.
I'm not overly familiar with the rums. So, okay, but that tells me where it lands as far as Captain Morgan, because Captain Morgan is one I'm familiar with. You know, as far as cost goes, at $44 a bottle.
But compare it to your vodka, though, because how much is a Grey Goose or like...
I mean, that silver dollar we had last time was...
I think I paid $30, $25 for it.
It was $25, $30 for a bottle of that. Mm-hmm. And that one, you know... I'm not going to knock it too much on the cost category.
You're what? I'm sorry?
I'm not going to knock it too much.
I know, because it drinks so well.
It drinks super well.
I think it hits above its weight class for cost. I really do.
I agree with you. I actually honestly thought you were going to say that bottle costs $60.
No, I really think I paid, I think it was $43.99 is what it was in the store.
That is super surprising. Because again, I thought you paid about $60 for that bottle.
Okay, that makes me feel good, though, because that's why we do this, is because it's hitting above its weight class.
It is hitting above its weight class, I feel. So, for me, that ends up giving this a nice 4.5 on cost. Because this is something that, you know, at $44 a bottle, the way that it hits, oh, yeah, I'll keep that in stock. I'm out at the liquor store restocking my cabinet. If I think I might be out of that, I'm grabbing a bottle. Whether I am out of it or not, I'm not going to wait to... Oh, nope, I'm definitely out of that. I need to add it to my list. If I go to the liquor store and I see it and I go, I don't remember if I have how much of that I have, I'm grabbing it.
Yep. Okay. I'm just going to keep the good times rolling. It's going to get a 5 because you know how much on some of the bottles of whiskey and bourbon I spend?
Oh, yeah.
At $45 a bottle? All day long, and there's going to be a backup of it, so I'll give it a 5.
Here's where I think you might get mad at me. You remember last episode we did the
Elijah Craig
barrel proof, and that scored really low for me on just about everything.
Okay, to be fair, though,
this
is higher. Yes,
is way higher. So at $44 a bottle, this thing beats out the Elijah Craig for me. I'd rather have this than Elijah Craig.
See, and
every time.
Here's what's funny to me about the Elijah Craig, though. I should not have actually had you try that one, and this is me being... Okay. For me you getting into the world of bourbons right now, you're not really into the bourbons as much as I am. A 124 proof, barrel proof bourbon, not something I should really be having you drink right now.
120.
But again, we're not alcoholics. We're connoisseurs.
We're not even connoisseurs. We are enthusiasts.
Enthusiasts. That's a better word. I love that word.
Enthusiast is the better word for it. We're not alcoholics. We're enthusiasts.
All right, Justin. Overall score for this rum. I'm really curious as to what you're going to give it.
This one, honestly... Full 5 out of 5 on this one.
Wow. Seriously, 5 out of 5.
Seriously, 5 out of 5. This rum, for me, it mixes extraordinarily well. It's good to drink neat, and it's not that expensive, and it hits above its weight class as far as the cost, because we've said I would take this over that expensive Elijah Craig you gave me. So overall, this thing gets full 5 out of 5 out of me. Now... I can guess what you're going to give it, but...
It's going to get a 5 because you're saying, I didn't think in our second episode I'd be giving a perfect review to a liquor. At the same time, though, it deserves it. 5.55. What's it going to be? You're right. It gets a 5 on an overall because it delivers.
It delivers.
It takes rum to a different... not only the bourbon casks, but finished in brandy casks, it delivers on so many different levels. You can drink it neat. It's phenomenal in a mixed cocktail. I will recommend this as, if not the number one, if the number two to everybody out there. If you find this and you like tropical drinks or you like rum, I don't care if you're a beginner or an expert in this. It's worth picking up.
I agree. That thing, I'd recommend to beginners, to experts, to intermediate. It is fan-friggin-tastic.
All right, Justin, let's tally up here. 18 out of 20 for you. I am very surprised, actually, because when it comes to brown liquors, even though we have 2 on the bar top tonight,
we do have 2 on the bar top tonight.
Well, Johnny's different. You and Johnny have a totally different relationship.
We do have a special relationship, Johnny and I.
You do. I mean, it's like this. Was it Jack, Jim, or Johnny for you? It was Johnny.
It is Johnny, and
we'll get into him in a second.
We'll get into him in a second, but
all right.
I do give this a full 18 out of 20, which
I'm impressed. Yeah,
for a brown liquor,
that's what's impressing.
Very impressive.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Elijah Craig last time did not score well at all.
What I'm curious, though, is after you become more palatized, though, I want to go back to that one and see how you score that and compare. Because
we can revisit a few of these later on.
And I, we're getting acclimated in different levels on different alcohols. So same thing with the Silver Dollar. I'm curious to see how the transition after you and I get a little more palatized. Anyway, I gave it a 20 out of 20. Yeah, I didn't think I'd be giving an alcohol a perfect score on our second episode. At the same time, though, I can't argue.
I know you like to start and end on high notes, and you gave Elijah a very good, positive review last time. I wasn't expecting the very next review that you did to beat Elijah.
Well, and this ought to tell you something about the
me.
Elijah Craig, though. This ought to tell you something about the barrel proof, though. I may have gone back and bought a second bottle of it.
That's not at all surprising.
I did, actually. It was that good to me.
It was that good. The one thing that the Kaniche verse is the Elijah Craig that I feel is better is the Elijah hits hard and he hits fast.
He's 124 proof, yeah.
At 67%.
It's hot. At the same time, though, for a rum, this is redefining what rum can be.
Oh, this is
no question
fantastic. I love this one. But enough about Kaniche.
All right,
let's go talk about my boy Johnny.
Your boy Johnny.
My boy Johnny. This is the Johnny Walker Gold Label Reserve. It is a blended Scotch whiskey, and it is made from a mixture of up to 23 of Johnny Walker's whiskeys and scotches that they make. It doesn't have a proof on it. It doesn't have an alcohol by volume percent because no one's really sure when they bottle this because of how many drinks are mixed into this thing.
So the research that I've done on this particular one, because Johnny Walker likes to really play with their marketing as far as their labels go. The only 3 that have never, ever changed in the history of Johnny Walker that I know of is red, black, and blue. Those are the only 3 that have stayed the same through the history of Johnny Walker.
Those are the only 3 that I know of that have stayed the same.
If we're wrong, tell us.
Yeah, please do tell us if you know something a little bit more than we do. We try to do some research on these, but we're human. We could be wrong.
Absolutely.
The red label...
it's entry level.
Entry level, it's a 3-year... If I remember correctly, it's a 3 to 5 year.
I don't even think it's age stamped though. That's the thing.
No, it is. It is. I believe
is it age stamped?
I believe it is. It's a 3 to 5 year. Then you have your black label at 12, and then your
blue.
Your blue. Sorry,
blue is not age stamped. But from what I understand, only 1 in 10,000 batches of blue make it. Actually, make the cut.
I'm not really sure. We'd have to dig into that.
Yeah, we'll dig into
we
that.
can dig into more Johnny later. Johnny's not going to go away. He's going to be featured several times on this podcast.
Absolutely. So this one does not have an age stamp, though, right?
Nope, no age stamp, no proof, no percentage on what we got here.
So just to give you a heads up, I have done a little bit of research on the proof. Closest thing I found is 80. This is what I'm being told online.
It's what you're being told online, but you got to take everything you hear and see online with a grain of salt.
Absolutely.
It could be made up, could be false. Just like our scores. They're made up, but they're not false.
That's true. There are honest scores. All right, let's get into this. Let's get it on the nose here.
Yep, let's dive right in.
Okay, vanilla.
Got a vanilla. I got honey.
See, I'm a suck at nosing honey because honey just does not pick up for me.
You know, I'm not great at the nosing either. I have a hard time identifying exactly what I'm smelling.
I'm getting some dried fruits in there almost.
You know, after we have some sips, good old Johnny. Smooth on the front, little bit of burn, finish on the smoky. You are gonna get some dried fruit aromas from the nose. Johnny specifically does it that way. They want you to get those notes. This one is more like the bourbons that you like, where the smell and the drink are a little bit different.
Yeah. This one doesn't transfer to the palate as well.
This one doesn't transfer to the palate as well.
So
So what do you get on that first hit?
I'm getting some vanilla, getting some caramel. I'm not getting any of the dried fruits or the honey. The back hit though, I'm gonna say what it tastes like to me. It's like it wants to be oak, but it tastes more like cedar to me, like a cedar wood. Not getting a lot of smoke though out of it.
You know, it is kind of a cross between the oak and the cedar as far as the taste that you get.
Do you know what it actually tastes like? And I just thought of this. So where we live, so when we go out in the woods up in the Hyuenas, you know how aspen trees smell?
Yeah.
That's kind of how it tastes. Is how an aspen tree kind of smells almost on that back roll off.
That is not a bad description. So if you got aspen trees or quakies, that's not a bad way to describe it. On my second taste, though, I do get a lot more of that honey coming through, a lot of the oak coming through, but then I get that really, really nice smoky finish coming in strong on the end, and then it just kind of lingers. But it's not like a cigarette smoky smell. It's kind of like a
cast burn oak smell almost. Yeah.
Well, it's like a good campfire smell.
Okay. All right. Nice.
But you're tasting it instead of smelling it. And I think that is just wonderful. I love the way that smokiness comes through at the end.
Okay, here's what I got in the second one. The oak finally came through, and it mixed in with the cedar / quaky taste. On the back end, it rolled off. Up front, I lost the vanilla, and I gained caramel.
You know, I don't gain the caramel till I take the third hit.
And what I got in the middle were kind of like some Thanksgiving spices almost.
I'll agree with that. I was actually going to say that on my third hit, I get that caramel comes through. And I lose. It's not so honey anymore. It's more the caramel. But then you get a little bit of the pumpkin spice. But then Johnny finishes strong with that smoke just lingering right there at the end. And for me, he comes in and he messes with your palate for a couple of strikes and a couple of drinks, but he's always finishing the same consistent way, which is one of the reasons why the Gold Label Reserve holds such a special place for me. Is he has the consistency, he has a little bit of mix it up in there, but he just drinks really well.
I'm going to agree with that because it is a very viscous, creamy, all the way through from drink 1 to drink 3. What I got on that third one is, again, on the back note, the same intense. Well, it got intensified a little bit. Oak, cedar / quaky. Middle became more predominant in the pumpkin / Thanksgiving spices. Again, he's got some depth to him. At the same time, though, he's not progressive. Like, the first taste is always your palatizing taste, but once you go from 2 to, you could go from taste 2 to taste 10. I don't think you're going to really discover anything more. He's not going to progress, but that's okay, though. At the end of the day, though, it is one of the smoothest Scotch whiskey blends you're going to be able to drink for anybody at any level.
See, and he is by far one of my favorite Scotch whiskey blends. Mm-hmm. He hits well above his weight class, or at his weight class. Mm-hmm. And he is consistent after the third or fourth taste.
I agree with that.
But up to that point, you get a little bit of discovery, you get a little bit of fun with him, and then once you get into that third or fourth taste, you're kind of getting into that relaxed, I just want to have drink mode. And that's where he just settles in and let me take you on a glorious ride. He is great at that.
All right, taste and aroma. What you giving him?
I give Johnny Walker a good 5 out of 5 on taste and aroma.
All right.
Because he smells really good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get any real burn off of Johnny, and which to me makes him very, very, very good, especially on the aroma.
Okay.
So yeah, he's going to get a full 5 out of 5 on it for me. How about you?
4.5, and here's why. When we're stepping into this weight class of Scotch whiskeys, bourbons, whiskey, Scotch, I'm just going to say it. I like them to be a little bit more progressive. At the same time, though, I can't knock him. It's a strong 4.5. It's just, I don't know. He just doesn't quite clips the 5 for me. I mean, at the same time, though, I do enjoy it. I mean, how long have I had that bottle for now?
Less than a year, and we're
halfway through it.
Halfway through it.
And you know what? He's going to stay on the shelf, so I obviously like him enough to rebuy him. So he's good.
Which brings us to the drinkability of Johnny Walker. Now, as with all drinks, you can have them neat, you can have them mixed. We're going to mix this drink real quick. We're going to mix him.
Be very careful of what you say.
Hey, whether it's right or not to do it, you can mix every drink.
Okay. What are we making?
You can. I'm not saying it's correct. You might get in trouble for that. I'm not saying you should do it with every drink. There are a couple that we will get into later.
We consider it blasphemy if you mix it.
Don't mix it.
Please.
It's better neat.
What are we making?
We're going to make a couple of old fashions.
Okay, are we doing this old school style, or are we doing a premix?
We are doing a premix of the old fashioned.
Okay, what premix did you pull out? I've got a couple back there.
We got Stirring's Simple Old Fashioned.
Okay, you grabbed one of the good ones. Okay, that's pretty decent.
We got Stirring's. So we're just going to mix a couple of these old fashions real quick. So we're going to try it this way. And don't question me here. I know what I'm doing.
Did I question him, folks? I don't think I questioned him.
Not yet. I felt that look.
I just have an attitude of gratitude.
It
has a volume.
Oh, there is a volume on here. I have missed it. In the year that we've had this on the shelf, I have missed it.
You said it was under a year.
Yeah, it's been about a year.
It's been about a year now?
It's been about a year.
Alrighty. So it's 40%, just so everybody knows. So that would make it 80 proof?
You cannot determine the proof by the percentage.
Yeah, that is true.
I mean, because that's 40%.
That is 40% volume.
But we've also seen other drinks that are 40% and have a really high proof, and some that have a really low proof.
No, this is true.
That's the thing that, this is one of the things that you've been learning about as we go through this journey, is that the volume and the proof aren't necessarily related to each other.
All right. Okay, now we're below halfway on that. I guess next time I go to a liquor store, I guess it's restock time.
Yay. It's always good to have some extra Johnny.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Wow, Johnny mixes well. Wow. Here's what's actually funny is I've never actually tried Johnny Gold in that old-fashioned mix. What
do you think?
Okay, Okay, here are the two notes that come through.
Yeah, what comes through for you on this guy?
It's the cedar/Quakey and the oak. Other than that, but those are the dominant notes that this bottle transfers to my palate for. Period. And you know what? I'm actually really pleased because they're not bad notes. I actually think the notes are pleasing. But yeah, they transfer through the.
See, and for me,
there's the smoke.
I get the pumpkin spice and the cinnamon taste. So for me, it's almost the right color. Mm-hmm. Which, for what I think it is, that is a nice holiday drink. So I take that first drink, and the first thing that pops into my head is Christmas.
Okay. I know this sounds really weird, but have you ever had like hot cinnamon apple cider?
Yeah, it's called Wassail.
Okay, Wassail.
Wassail.
All right.
You never heard the song Let's Go Wassailing? Or, well, now I need to... Squirrel, because I know that song is stuck in my head, but I can't remember the name of it. But, yes.
This is like the iced version. Like, you're right. This is like the iced version of this. The Johnny actually makes it taste... Like, I got smoke on that one in addition to the two woods.
Well, yeah, you get smoke on the addition to the two woods. But the notes, and this is, the first time I think you and I have described the same thing on Johnny. It tastes like Christmas.
Oh, I know it. We're drinking in Christmas.
Oh, yeah. Christmas time. This is for the Christmas party? Absolutely. This is wonderful.
Wow. This is actually... Okay.
Yeah.
Now that after the first drink, this thing, like,
it gets
literally transformed.
It gets better and better and better. And... to me, that's what...
That is a holiday cocktail right there.
It is. Stirring Simply Old Fashioned, Johnny Walker Gold Label Reserve, wonderful holiday drink right there. He just does phenomenal in there.
Okay, so drinkability, what are you giving it?
Drinkability, he's going to get a 5 out of 5 for me again, because he drinks really well neat. He drinks really well mixed.
That was next level for me.
And one of the things we talk about when we talk about drinkability is, would I get him at the bar? Yeah.
Dude, if there's an open bar, you'll kill that whole fifth.
I might kill a fifth of Johnny at an open bar. And it is definitely one that I'm going to drink alone.
I give it a 5-2. It's looking at it from a perspective of not only my personal opinion, at the same time, just an overall consumer opinion for anybody who is looking to get into Scotch, whiskey, bourbon, etc.
Yeah.
It's on a personal note and on a consulting note or an advising note. It gets a 5. Absolutely, It does. Next category, Justin, remind me what that one is.
Our next category is cost. And this is where I think Johnny takes a little bit of a hit.
Well, sorry, I didn't mean to overtalk you there. Do you want to know what I paid for that bottle?
If you paid the average, which is about $70 to $80 per bottle, you probably spend around 67 or 76. Got a little dyslexic there.
That's okay.
That ADD showing through.
I picked this bottle up over New Year's, actually. It was, okay, I remember it being on sale, and this was right before Johnny re-released the 18-year Gold Label Reserve. So this was the only gold label out there at the time. I think it was on sale for $74.99, actually. Normally at the time it was $100. But once Johnny re-released 18-year, this now is, I think, $80 kind of standard across the board.
I did a little research before we started. He averages between $70 and $80 a bottle, depending on where you are in the country, for a Johnny Walker Gold Label Reserve.
Okay.
So $70 to $80 is about average. So you paid about average for what he's worth now. Mm-hmm. And when comparing him to...
Okay, but remember, this is a rum, though. Let's try not to...
It is a rum. But just the way that those two drinks work and how they go in the mixed drinks and what you can mix with the drinks, Kaniche's kind of a little bit better. But Johnny, for what he is, for a Scotch whiskey.
Blended Scotch, remember that.
It is blended Scotch whiskey. That's why I said Scotch whiskey.
Okay,
Scotch
sorry.
and whiskey are two different things.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
So, I implied blended. You're right.
You're
I probably should have said blended, but...
You're good.
It is what it is. For what he is, I feel like he is excellently priced at the $75 mark. The $70 to $80 mark.
Okay, I'm curious. What are you giving him?
He's going to end up with a 4.5.
A 4.5, okay.
He's going to get a 4.5. He's not going to get a perfect score on this category for me.
Honestly, I agree with you, and here's why. When we get into that $60 to $70, $60 to $100 price range, but not only the $60 to $100, that $70 to $100 price range.
Well, even
go ahead.
Not even just the $70 to $100 range, it's $70 to $90 range.
Well, the competition just gets, and I'll call it the $70 to $100 range. The competition becomes fierce. It's the same thing like we said with the Elijah Craig last time.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It just, for me, it gets a 4, and here's why. All right, and I'm probably being a little generous with the 4, but I don't care because personally, I've always enjoyed Gold Label Reserve, and it's always been one that I've drank ever since I was old enough to drink, as far as the brown liquors go. But here's why it gets a 4. My palate has become, I don't know if refined is the right word, or evolved a little bit. At the end of the day, Johnny Walker doesn't hit the same notes that it hit for me 5 years ago. All right? But that's just my personal opinion. Now, the reason why it hits a 4 for me in cost is very simple. There are, in the same price range, for me personally, I would probably choose that Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. I would choose a Knob Creek 12. Or I'd probably choose like a Russell Single Barrel Reserve.
You're right. In that price range, there are so many contenders. You have a lot of the bourbons. You have a lot of whiskeys. You have a lot of scotches. You have a lot of vodkas in that price range. You have a lot of everything right in that price range. That's all pretty high end.
Top
all
shelf.
All going to drink really well. And, for what he is, I think he's in the right weight class.
I would agree with that. I don't think he's hitting above his weight class. I think he's where he needs to be at the end of the day. I really do.
I agree with you. I think when I spoke earlier and said I think he's above his weight class, I think I misspoke. Now that we're actually getting into him, and
that's fine.
At that time I was a little bit excited about, Johnny Walker. He's great. He is. I love Johnny Walker. But I think I misspoke when I said he hits above his weight class. He is right in the middle of his weight class. He's hitting where he needs to be.
But that's good though. What you don't want to have happen is, and I've had this happen personally on a few alcohols and liquors, and we'll talk about it later more, is you buy them and you get really excited for them, and they hit so far below their weight class that it's just disappointing. To me,
we have had a couple of those, yeah.
Especially for a scotch, a whiskey, a blended scotch whiskey, a bourbon, if they're hitting in their weight class that you personally feel like they need to be hitting in, that's a win in my opinion. That's a total win.
Oh, I agree. And for blended scotch whiskeys, definitely in the weight class. Now, let's move on to
total.
Our overall opinion on this. Now,
give it to me, man.
No. You made me give my overall opinion on yours before you gave yours.
Okay.
What is your overall opinion on Johnny here? And be brutally honest, man. This is what this podcast is about.
Okay. Here's where the brutally honest part comes in. This was probably one of the best whiskey drinks that have been mixed that I've ever had. That right there alone bumped him up another half a point to a 4.5.
4.5 for Johnny on that.
Overall, yes. but it was a solid 4. This took it up that extra half point. That's what did it.
You know, that makes me happy that he won up the extra half point with you. You and I have had Johnny Walker numerous times before. We've talked about Johnny Walker numerous times before. That's a very surprising score for me to come out of you for an overall score.
I still like him.
But I'm happy that he did what he did there. I, on the other hand, have to give Johnny Walker, honestly, the full 5 on overall.
All right. That's what I expected out of you.
This bottle, aside from the part where he hits your wallet a little hard to get a bottle of Johnny Walker Gold Label Reserve, he mixes so well. You know, I'm not even a huge fan of the Christmas season.
No, you're not.
But he's making me excited for the Christmas season because that old-fashioned drink
I'll get another bottle of it.
just works really well. I think he would get me into the holiday spirit and maybe take me out of my Scrooge mode when it comes to
I'm going to text your wife right now and tell her that. She will probably have a... She
will be ecstatic. But Johnny Walker, for me, does so well overall.
So here's the question, though. I got to answer really quick before we tally here.
Before we tally.
And this is for an overall, because I have an opinion on this, too. All right. $80 for a bottle of Johnny, all right? When normal people like us who work 8-10 hours a day, work our butts off for our money, and when we go in,
you know,
if you got paid on Friday,
I get paid on Friday.
Would you do it?
He costs $80 a bottle, so he's going to cost me, you know,
it's almost a day's pay.
Well, depending on how much you make. For me, he's anywhere from about a quarter to a half day's work.
It's about the same, yeah.
You know, just depending on what I'm doing, when I get paid that day. I still would buy him.
Okay, so and
I'm
this
still
is the
going to pick him
reason
up.
why I wanted
like
to ask
right
this.
now, like you said earlier, when we're down to half bottle, we got to go get another one. That's my thoughts exactly. We're at half bottle. It's time to put Johnny back on a brand new bottle of Johnny back on the label.
And the only reason why I'm asking you this, and I'm asking myself this, is the simple fact of we got to be honest with ourselves. We got to be honest with everybody else because
you know you're right. We got to be honest with each other because we work for our living. We're not rich people.
This is just something fun.
This is just something fun. This is for the average Joe. If you are rich and you are tuning in, we welcome you. But we're not going to get into the liquors that you have tried.
I can't.
Unless you want to send us a bottle. I will review it. I will give you my honest opinion compared to everything else that the average Joe is drinking. I'm not going to turn away.
I wouldn't either. If someone wants to send me,
But let's get back on topic. I apologize.
So you said yes. Okay.
I say yes.
I say the same thing. And yeah, it's... Again, and I've spent more on a bottle of alcohol. I think my most expensive one that I have splurged on thus far, and we are going to review it at some point, but it is a bottle of 291 barrel proof, and it was $100. Okay?
You know, we don't go really outrageous with these. I know some of you are hearing these $80, $100 price tags, and you're thinking, well, wow, I'm never going to drop that on these. For those that are thinking that for a special occasion, like
Christmas,
worth it.
Or a hunting trip, you know.
Sometimes
we got a hunting trip coming up,
and we're probably going to do a special episode on the hunting trip.
Absolutely,
that will air sometime
right before October.
I think we might do some recording while we're out there. We'll see.
All right, I'd be okay.
We might have a surprise for you folks.
All right, Justin, let's see what your total was. But Justin, at a 19.5. All right, I'm going to take that as a home run. Have a nice day.
No. Not a home run. Because you gave him a 20. Now, I do give him the full 19.5. because he does lose that little bit of half point when we got into the cost of the bottle.
Here's the thing, though. I want you to think about something, though, okay? What is this? What color is this?
It is a brown liquor, and you're right. For me, that is absolutely a home run out of the park. Glorious review. Because I'm not normally that generous with...
You're not.
...the brown liquors. But you got to remember, I was super generous with him, too.
At the same time, though, that's a rum versus a Scotch whiskey.
You're right, but they're both... Look at the color. What color are we?
And we're 40% volume.
We're 40% volume for both. So...
What did I give him?
You ended up giving him an 18.
That's higher than I was anticipating going, actually, to be honest with you. But you know what? It is what it is. I'm happy with it.
And that's lower than what I had hoped you would give Johnny.
I know.
I do feel like Johnny earned at least a full 19 out of you.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. I feel like he went in, tried hard, punched at his weight class, threw the punches where he needed to, and you were just too harsh of a judge. But
at the same time, though, it's still an A.
It is still an A, and this is our opinion. Mm-hmm. So I can't fault you too much for giving him that 18 out of 20.
I mean, I know some guys that have reviewed the Johnny Walker Gold Reserve and just given it a subpar or just barely a passing grade. At the end of the day, Johnny is Johnny. He's just Johnny, and that's just it. People.
But here's the thing with Johnny.
You know what you're getting.
Much like with Jack.
Yeah.
You are either going to love him or hate him.
And then you're gonna get some weirdos like us that are just kind of like, we can find that middle of the road and appreciate it for what it is.
We can appreciate it for what it is. I still prefer Johnny above Jack.
Oh, geez, yes.
But for the general public, for most people you talk to about scotches and whiskeys,
Johnny's top tier, though. When you talk to most people,
you're right. Johnny is top tier,
and it deserves its place at that.
But
tier.
You are going to find people, just like with Jack, you either love him or hate him,
and that's okay, because it's not a traditionally done Scotch bourbon whiskey. It's a blended Scotch whiskey, and when you get into this world of mixing blends and doing this, you're changing the profiles to the point where.
But that's what Johnny does.
That's just what Johnny's always done, and that's what Johnny's going to continue to do, and that's awesome. Here's the thing: if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And Johnny
ain't
just
broke.
It's not broke. So Johnny, keep doing what you're doing.
Absolutely, Johnny, keep doing what you're doing. Love the Johnny Walker Gold.
All right, Justin, you got some closing remarks for us? Let's go ahead and send everybody home.
You know, I don't have any closing remarks for us. I think we got both. I say I don't have any closing remarks and then start talking. It shows you how well this works out. I do have a few closing remarks, and that is both of these liquors here hit really well. They both do amazing for what they are. And so, you know, I love them both.
You know, my closing remarks are the same. I think we have two really awesome bottles from different worlds at the same time, though, even though from different worlds, they're not really that far apart the way that they're done. I think that it was fantastic. I think this was a really good review. I loved them both. I give very high praise to both, and I would recommend both of these to anybody looking to get into a rum or a blended Scotch whiskey.
You know, I same. If you're trying to get into rums, go with Kaniche. He'll help you get there. If you're going Scotch or whiskey or both, Johnny Walker Gold Label will get you there every single time.
All right, folks, that's it for today from Double Barrel Podcast. My name's Chris.
My name's Justin.
And we want to thank you guys for tuning in. If you liked what you saw, we would really appreciate a like and subscribe. Also, if you have any comments on anything you would love to see us review, whether it be a firearm and or a liquor, please drop a comment or a link below, and we will do our best to get to it. Justin.
You know, before we let you all go, we want to touch on safety one more time. There are 5 things you want to remember. The first, guns and alcohol never, ever mix. You never want to handle something that can and will kill you when you are a little bit affected, as we are. It's very obvious we're affected at this point. And then, of course, the 4 golden rules of firearm safety. Actually, I guess there's 6 things. Never drink and drive. We don't support that. We will never condone that. If you drink and drive, we hope you get caught.
Consequences.
We really do.
Yep, there are consequences.
There are consequences for your accident. We've seen those all too real, far too often. Don't do it.
Be smart.
Be smart. There are so many options for you to get home safely.
I mean, gosh, how many people do Lyft and Uber now?
And for us, we're lucky. We're here in your home bar. We're all safe. We're going to be safe all night. So everyone else out there, please do the same. Be safe, be smart, and have a wonderful night.
Have a good night, everybody. See you next time.